You are listening to the Spine Whisperers podcast. Please know that our doctors are here to only educate, not diagnose on this podcast. If you have any questions, please feel free to find us at www.mfwellness.org. Hello, Spine Whisperer. This is Dr. Matthew Fink, Dr. Brad Maurer, Dr. Amanda Drum.
Hello.
We'll be talking about acupuncture today. And one of the coolest things is that we have the pleasure of being in practice with Dr. Drum, who just recently passed her boards for acupuncture.
Slow clap.
Yeah, she was...
It's been a long time coming.
I don't think I've seen you study that hard.
Yeah, no, never.
Yeah, like you and Dr. Danielle both put in your time during Logan, but...
Was that like boards level studying? Even
yeah,
more?
a lot. Well, I didn't really study for my regular chiropractic boards, but
So it was more.
this board exam was no joke.
And then, from what I understand, there was problems with the processing of the test as well?
Yeah.
Or were the computer...
Apparently, I forgot how to take a board exam.
Oh.
And
You don't just fill in bubbles?
was double clicking when I should have been single clicking, and it wasn't recording my answers.
Oh.
So with like 20 minutes left, I realized that and had 100 questions to go back and answer. So
We had it way easier.
I
It
was a little
literally bubbles.
stressed.
It was when
we didn't have
We had
a
the Scantron.
Yeah, we had Scantron.
yeah, so my fault, but
But
it worked out.
But think about like the boys have a tendency to rush through testing. And Sarah and I have tried to convince them, like, hey, once you go through it once, just go over and check it again. Now, that's a different way to do it.
Oh, it was something, because I wasn't done, but I had remembered in a previous question that the answer was similar to what I was supposed to be answering, so I went and tried to find it, realized the answer wasn't recorded, cortisol level shot through the roof, and here we are.
Yeah, she started sweating. It's like, what do I do? What do I do? But way to keep a level head and like, did you have to...
That's impressive.
Did you have to like raise your hand and talk to a proctor? That's it.
I did, and she had no idea, so...
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
great.
no problem, I'll figure it out. And we just kept on.
Okay, so let's talk about your personal and professional experience with acupuncture. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I have a personal experience with acupuncture. I don't really remember when I started getting it done, but just recently with my daughter's pregnancy, I got it regularly with adjustments to help with headaches and honestly my anxiety over being pregnant because it was new to me, and I had a lot of success. My headaches went away, my anxiety decreased steadily, and yeah, it's just overall a good addition to chiropractic adjustments. Professionally,
Like, we know why we do chiropractic adjustments.
yeah.
So, like, if you have something along that line that you want to tell people, please feel free. Like, don't hold back.
I just think that acupuncture in itself goes back 3,000 years. It's
Right.
been around, a long time. Why is it still around? If it wasn't working, it wouldn't be.
Right.
So, and now the research on it is getting incredibly strong.
Like,
Johns Hopkins.
like goosebumps level.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins has a huge acupuncture department solely for research, and the studies are just crazy good. So I'm excited to dive in and see, what results we can get here in the office. But specifically for the people that I treat, pregnancy and pediatrics even, helping induce labor when the time is right, helping get rid of those joint pains, helping with the anxiety, the morning sickness, the nausea, all that stuff is kind of my why. I'm,
Right.
pregnancy and pediatrics solely, but I am excited to see other cases that I normally don't see on the chiropractic side of the things. So it's going to be fun.
Now, hand in hand with the actual application of acupuncture needles, you do the diagnosis as well, right?
Yeah.
Open mouth, let me see your tongue. Check the...
I'm someone who has never had acupuncture.
I guess once again, in kind of a brief fashion, can you explain how it
Like the
works?
exam?
Like if I was to come in and get evaluated, what would that look like?
Yeah, so kind of like a chiropractic first visit. History is the number one most important thing. Current, past, medical, family, very in-depth, full history. And then you go into looking at meridians and what meridian you think is in excess or what meridian is in a deficiency to see.
What's a meridian?
I knew that was coming. So in acupuncture, there's 12 meridians. Meridians are each corresponding to an organ. So there's lung, heart, stomach, large intestine, and they couple with either their yin or yang meridian, and they have the sister meridian that goes with them. So it's kind of hard to explain if you have no idea what a meridian is or what yin and yang is and all that. But there's specific times that each meridian corresponds to. There's specific points on each meridian that correspond to different structures in the body or pain points and organ points and there's
So
2,000
it's not just
points
show up,
that
I'm
you
going to
know.
stick you full of needles.
No,
Nothing like
so
that.
there's a lot of
How do you
information.
know, as a practitioner, how do you know that someone's in excess of a certain meridian?
You can look at their symptoms that they're displaying, their tongue, like Dr. Matt said, their pulse, their blood pressure,
Skin elasticity.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tests to look at. Again, there's not like one point is,
It's like, oh, you got this. I'm going to stick you here. It's
Multiple.
Right.
Yeah.
factors.
Yep.
It's intense.
But it's fun.
Yeah. The order of acupuncture or adjusting first.
Oof.
People like to do different things. Like the times that I get acupuncture first and then I get adjusted afterwards.
In my professional opinion, there is no specific order for this.
Okay.
It's not like a massage.
It's just what the practitioner is comfortable with.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like if you're going to acupuncture somebody and someone else needs to get adjusted, you'll adjust them. Then you'll be able to swap them out. That person gets acupuncture, you're getting adjusted now.
Yep.
Like, okay.
And you can do it in the same day.
Right.
I'm kind of the crazy person who likes to take multiple wellness visits and do my chiropractic adjustment one day and then my acupuncture the next day or 2 days later, just because it gives me a different feeling. That's just what my body responds well to.
I can see if I were you where you're coming from, because you're so in tune with your body, and it's like I don't want the possibility of the adjustment covering up something that I'm going to feel differently from acupuncture, right?
Yeah, it's almost like too much good stimulation.
Right.
So I like to spread it out.
Speaking of like the time frame, then how long does a typical acupuncture visit take?
So the first initial visit with the exam and everything will most likely run about 40 to 45 minutes, just depending on how in-depth, the complaint is. And then from there, a just normal visit would be about 30 minutes with 20 minutes of it being the needles just in
Doing work.
doing their
Just
thing.
hanging out.
Yep, just hanging out.
Should everyone get acupuncture? Like, is everyone a candidate besides the people that are absolutely terrified of needles?
Yeah, please don't put me through that. No one's pressuring you to get acupuncture, so if you don't like it, you don't like it. But I will say, I just needled Marissa, who is very scared of needles, and she couldn't even feel it. So they're very small.
It's the buildup.
It is.
If it's like you have a phobia of needles, absolutely different than I don't like needles.
Yeah.
Because
now, acupuncture and dry needling needles, that's a whole different story.
And
We'll get there.
Okay.
yeah, and I feel like this question goes along with, is everyone a candidate? Is there any contraindications to
There
getting
are.
acupuncture?
There are there's contraindications for specific conditions like pregnancy. Some points you're not supposed to needle because it can induce labor too soon. It can put the baby in fetal distress. So there are, for each condition their own contraindications. But just overall, like if you have a blood disorder, not really recommended just because the amount of needles that can be used. Again, the needles are really small, but maybe not the wellness experience that you should be involved in. If you have a pacemaker, sometimes we use a TENS unit, which is like the muscle stimulating unit attached to the needles. So that is contraindicated because it can set the pacemaker in a different rhythm. And what else? If you have any open wounds, obviously, I'm not trying to contract your diseases, so no.
Yeah, with chiropractic as well, and with everything else, it's like we're gonna stay away from, even with laser. Like we're gonna stay away from the wounds, please.
Yeah. And then cancer, chemo, radiation. Most points are contraindicated for that.
And you brought up the dry needling.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference between acupuncture and dry needling? I know dry needling has become
very popular
within the last number of years.
Yeah. So acupuncture is a Chinese traditional medicine that uses the meridians. Dry needling is more for acute injuries like a sprain strain or something that can be pinpointed by a certain location. The needles are a little bit larger because they go directly into the muscle and the trigger point that's affecting.
Doesn't it help activate? It's nothing like cupping, but also it gets that stuff kind of flowing. Yeah. The blood flowing in the system that you're actually dry needling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it basically activates and says, hey, let's get the move on. Let's start moving here. Let's get this bad crap out and get the good stuff in, kind of stuff. So along the lines of cupping, where we're taking a specific point or part and trying to get as much blood to that area. So in essence, it's not the same, but it's the same.
Basically, this just can get into the muscle.
Right.
And into the actual trigger point that is involved. And that's where we see a lot of TENS units coming into play, where you attach the TENS unit to the needle, and it can either fatigue the muscle in early stages, and then we can retrain it with the interval training, so like 10 seconds of pulsing, and then the 50 seconds of relaxing to retrain that muscle and get it stronger than what it was before the injury. Lots of athletes utilize dry needling.
Okay. What other things haven't we asked that we need to talk about?
I guess along the lines of who should get it done, there's so many conditions. The main ones being, addictions, smoking, if you want to stop smoking, if you want to lose weight, if you have frequent headaches, if you have joint pain, if you're pregnant, having discomfort with that. Kids, a lot of kids with ADHD, now not necessarily using needles, but acupressure points. So just my fingers stimulating the point, depending on the age and if they can handle laying still for 20 minutes. If you're having like difficulty breathing, asthma, seasonal allergies, TMJ problems, there's so many things that
I think especially if we've been seeing you here for a while, and there's still that lingering issue. We've helped you with all these 10 things, but there's this one thing that's still a bit of a problem. It's definitely something to look at.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of the stopping smoking, this was back in I think 1986. That's how my dad stopped smoking. Yeah, and I was younger then, but I'd never heard of such a thing. And took one time, and that was it. He never did again.
Yeah, so now there's a whole detox program. I don't know who funded it. I can't think of it. But it's a big deal in the acupuncture world, and it's used with auriculotherapy points. So it's little ear seeds that can stay in your ear, and you can stimulate them at home when you have the urge to pick up a cigarette or pick up the soda or any type of comfort that you have. It will help stop that. So it's pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I started getting acupuncture after my heart surgery, and so I was having a lot of anxiety coupled with that, and then my blood pressure was fluctuating way too much for it to be healthy. And so I got in contact with an acupuncturist and a different chiropractor, and I was getting acupuncture probably twice a week for 3 months, I think. And it was just like you said, fill out a whole list of questions before I was even seen. Like, what do you have going on? What affects you the most? Where do you feel like you need to be? Doc looked at my fingernails, checked my tongue, asked a whole bunch of invasive questions.
Yep.
But like, they need to know that because it affects what you're going to do as a doctor. Where the needles were placed each time was different, but it was like the overall effect was phenomenal, and it was like someone had like reset my entire system every single time.
It is weird. It's like an awakening feeling.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I would fall asleep every single time.
Yeah, that too.
Like, needles in, conversation, leave the room, and then maybe it was like, and they could hear me outside that I was snoring. It was such a deep sleep. But yeah, and it is just if you've never had acupuncture, it's a really, really cool experience. And if you're afraid of needles, one of the cool things is that you can still have the consult, still talk to Dr. Drum, but you can also do the manual stimulation or the acupressure points.
Yep.
Just so that you know what's going on. And it's okay to be afraid of trying something new, but that being a limiting factor, it shouldn't be a limiting factor.
Yeah. And like I
Doing
said, we can
stuff
use the seeds that aren't needles that can stay on forever. Not forever, but until they fall off. That's always an option too.
Yeah, there's 3 acupuncturists that I know. One of them is in the room with us. The other one is practicing in St. Charles, and the other one is practicing in Festus. So, all very talented doctors, and if you want to get acupuncture, now would be a really good time. Because from what I heard, Dr. Drum's appointments are filling up.
Yeah, I didn't really take that into consideration with my patient load, but that's okay. It's going to be a good time. I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have anything else?
I hope to see you in my office.
Okay, great. So for myself, Dr. Matt, Dr. Brad, and Dr. Amanda Drum, have a great one. And if you need to email me or if you have questions about the podcast, please email me at drmatt@mfwellness.org.
A big thank you goes to Hug Monster Sound for all the hard work they put into making us sound so great.